What's going on, everyone? So there's a lot of controversy going on with Yasuke and Assassin's Creed Shadows. First thing that I want to talk about is what the problem is here. The problem is not a community problem, because people are just going to do that. It's just like when something happens in politics. This is an Ubisoft issue. They know what they're doing, and this is not a mistake. You don't do this on an accident. So the issue here is not whether he was a samurai or not. He wasn't. He was a retainer, but a retainer can still fight. But that's not really the issue here. Is we know he was in Japan, so that's not really a question. That's out the way. We know he was in Japan. But was he a real classified samurai? No. You know what I mean? And then we're going to talk about how corrupt Wiki is and why you shouldn't trust it. Because it's being edited by anyone just like you can edit it. Somebody's editing that, you know what I mean? And why this is even more messed up. And it says a lot about Ubisoft being the villains here. And just playing that game of victimizing and taking somebody who was actually a slave to somebody that was evil. Nobunaga's evil. Oh yeah, he was underneath Nobunaga. Like this, dude. This guy's evil. Do you know who Nobunaga is? The guy was a fucking demon king. How many people he killed? You know how much evil has been done by him. So do you really think that guy was not a slave? But don't be stupid and think just because some surface tone color is being misrepresented that all of a sudden it's cool. It's bullshit. Not only that, but who's really being insulted here? Whose history is this? This is Japanese history. They're insulting the shit out of them. Having some guy misrepresent who's a slave under somebody who was evil, slaughter everything in Japan, like, on camera by Westerners. Why are people ignoring that? You know what I mean? This is a Western issue again. They do this a lot. They insult people, and they're the ones that are, if you want to say racist, you know what I mean? I would say more disrespectful than anything. But of course, some people can see this racist. I don't have a problem with that. That's your choice. You know what I mean? With me, it's all about the truth and just looking at things. Honestly, this guy has a lot of good takes here, and we're going to go into that. I like his video, and I understand what he's saying. So let's take a look at this real quick.
Laughing, so please excuse me if I go off course with it. But Ubisoft's latest Assassin's Creed Shadow game apparently has created the main protagonist as a samurai warrior in ancient Japan as a black guy. Yeah. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. And the latest game from Ubisoft, the Assassin's Creed Shadows, has a black samurai warrior in it. Now, before we go too far in this, and not to make a joke out of it completely, there is some historical context to having a black samurai warrior. It's not completely fabricated out of thin air to make a DEI samurai.
That's not the problem,
it could theoretically be based in reality. I get all that. But of all the situations to base a game on and then create the main protagonist to be what they did, I can't help but look at the DEI payments and say, really, Ubisoft? You really gonna do this?
That's the problem.
With a straight face? And try to sell it to people like there's nothing off about it? Really? JT. Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out SmashJT.com for the full breakdown of Ubisoft's latest game, Assassin's Creed Shadows, and the Black Samurai Warrior as the main protagonist in it. Where do I even start here? Alright, here we go with Ubisoft pushing that diversity narrative once again. Diversity, equity, and inclusion are the pillars of what...
Okay, so this thing right here is where it's like, you're just trying to victimize, even though I don't believe in a certain thing as a black person, because it's a spectrum of color. I can go to India and see that skin color. I can go to Russia and see white skin color. I can go to the Viking territory up north and see white skin color. I can go to Texas right here where I'm at and see white skin color. You know what I mean? I can go to Rome and see that skin color. You know what I mean? I can go over to Russia, but are any of them the same? No, they're not. So it's just so stupid that people say that. No, you have DNA and you have bloodlines. And you're mixed with certain races, and you need to identify what that is. This is all surface anyways, but the point is that this is just Ubisoft doing what they want to do to favor their agenda. That's all what this is. It's no different than politics. And like I said, they're being the villains here.
What Ubisoft stands for when you go to their website. They plaster it everywhere, and they want to make sure that you know, as a gamer, that Ubisoft cares for diversity. In fact, they care so much about it that they hire people just for positions to make sure their games include diversity, have inclusion, and equity throughout them. Screw having historical bases of narratives and focusing on what gamers actually care about. We need to make sure we check those boxes and get those ESG payments from BlackRock. Ubisoft's decision to include a black samurai as the central character in the game set in feudal Japan has raised eyebrows. It feels more like a forced attempt at inclusion rather than a thoughtful integration of diverse characters. And the backlash online with this game has been swift. And a lot of people are calling out the BS because they see right through it. It's almost like a few years ago, Ubisoft could have probably gotten away with this and been on the edge of what's going on with reality and how we can get away with being edgy with stuff. But I feel like the recent Sweet Baby Inc. stuff that's happened, all the ESG payments that have come forward and shown off what these companies really do in the back end and why they have the narratives they do, it's kind of made it pretty obvious to the average layperson that Ubisoft is doing something very wrong right now. And don't just take it from me. Infantile Comic on...
So this is interesting right here. This is a developer that used to be a part of things who actually doesn't want anything to do with this and is glad he does not have anything to do with it. And I can understand why, because these companies can get away with this. They're not going to go change that. You can sit there and cry all you want. They're still going to release it. They're still going to market it. They know who they're targeting and they know what they're doing. So we need to realize what the issue is here. Not people arguing on Twitter. It's just drama. That's what they're going to do. And people are going to be divided and conquered and get stuck on the, like I said, spectrum thing again. And like I said, if you want to represent a spectrum, then you are not unified with the universe. You're not unified with life. You're saying you want to be stuck on a spectrum and divided and conquered. No different in politics, guys. It's the same thing.
Twitter, who worked on the narrative elements for an Assassin's Creed game set in the same era, had a lot to say on Twitter. In fact, said so much that it's a very, very long breakdown talking about the situation in the original storyline of what he was working on and what was going to be a part of this game and how the main protagonist was going to be really based in historical Japanese context and it would fit with the world to make the realism real. And he said basically that he worked on the narrative for a Sengoku era Assassin's Creed game back in 2013 and 2014, focusing on a monk named Yamuchi Taka and the legendary Sword of Eden. The story involved historical figures like Oda Nobunaga and Hattori Hanzo, with Taka becoming an assassin to retrieve the sword and navigate the political turmoil of the time. However, it appeared that Ubisoft discarded the intricate storyline in favor of including a black samurai and a cannon-destroying...
So you see what they're doing right here. This is what I like to call a political agenda and a business agenda. To victimize people and brainwash people to feel good about something that is actually an insult to another culture. And actually an insult to the other culture, because why not? And let's take a look at this comment right here. I like what this guy said. Ubisoft could have paid their respect to Black history by choosing a period of significant in Black culture instead of trying to force a Black man somewhere he obviously doesn't belong. Now, this right here, whether we're a flop or not, we'll see. But the idea is I'm talking about agendas. And what he's saying is very true. But what he could have said is like African history or something else. Because like I said, I don't like that word. And this is something that just kind of mostly exists in America. But the point is that it's just like what this guy says, it's just stupid. And like I said, it's an insult to both cultures, definitely Japanese culture.
Kanoichi boss, and he finishes it off saying how he's relieved to be out of the industry and many of the MMO shooters that he worked on as well have been shut down and he's just glad to be away from all this BS that they were dealing with. This is the problem, by the way, with the game industry. This is like Exhibit A for what I've been talking about for like the past 3 months on this channel. And right here, it's all culminated into Assassin's Creed Shadows. The narrative provided a rich background of historical and fictional elements, seamlessly blending the lore of Assassin's Creed with real-world history of Japan. The decision by Ubisoft to abandon the storyline in favor of one that seemingly prioritizes DEI over historically accurate information has left many fans and former developers puzzled, to say the least. It's a pretty obvious grift that Ubisoft is working right now, trying their best to push the DEI narrative. To be fair, though, the inclusion of...
Do you see what he's saying? The average mindset that really wants to represent this illusion too, that is not knowledgeable enough, won't look at this way. They'll just feel insulted and try to offend it. They're being puppeted, but they don't know that. And this is what politicians like, because they can divide and conquer people and stir up the pot. You know what I mean? Rather than telling people the truth and representing things in a more accurate manner. But we're now getting into strong delusion and cultism to where reason is going to be thrown out the window, listening to truth is going to be thrown out the window, and people don't want to hear it because they want to represent some spectrum or some it's just idiocy. And that is just increasingly popular today, and I just find it very annoying. But let's continue this, because this is not even the worst part. The worst part is them getting caught changing the Wikipedia to fit the narrative. Watch this later
of a
on.
black samurai in a game set in feudal Japan is not inherently problematic. There are historical precedents to it, such as Yasuke, an African samurai who served under Oda Nobunaga.
Yes.
However, the way this character is integrated into the game can make a significant difference, and Ubisoft's approach feels more like an afterthought, undermining the game's historical setting and narrative coherence instead of just doing what people would want out of an Assassin's Creed game based in ancient Japan. Having an ancient Japanese samurai warrior as the main protagonist. Why would you need to stretch yourself and bend yourself into a pretzel, turning over backwards to get to where you did right now to create the storyline that you ended up with? But it doesn't stop there. Grums on Twitter has acknowledged that people are currently changing the Wikipedia entry on samurais and the Yasuke.
This is what's mind-blowing. This should tell you guys, like I said, there's somebody controlling Wikipedia. But you got people thinking just because they go to Wikipedia, it's 100% facts. Time to wake up, guys. Right here. Ubisoft apparently changed Assassin's Creed Shadows, throwing away the original story, and instead of running with Yasuke, you probably mistyped that, an obscure black retainer of Nobunaga. He's a retainer. That also means a slave, because Nobunaga's evil. We all know that. That's front and center. An Ubisoft writer who worked on the game says the original story was completely different. But this is not the worst part. It's also the fact that they changed
Yasuke over an edit war to change what the definition is. And if that doesn't prove what the hell is going on right now in the world to change and fix agendas to fit a narrative, I don't know what does. This is not historically accurate when you can go in and change something to fit a narrative of a game that is coming out right now. Grums on Twitter said, Assassin's Creed Shadows character Yasuke was never a samurai, showing the Wikipedia entry screenshot.
But this is what can happen today. You can have people make up history, put a skin color with an AI. They do this on TikTok all the time. They do this on the web, and they make up all these quotes. Guys, a lot of this shit is fashioned. Be careful. Same thing with what they did in Russia with political stuff. Same thing what they're doing with Jesus. Getting people stuck on one spectrum and they go back to the other spectrum. Like I said, it's politics. It's black and white. That's what they like to do. They want to keep you out of the color and keep you stuck in that world and victimize you and make you feel it. Just be careful with that. And, yeah, it's not good. So just what you should be looking at is the message. Don't get too stuck on the surface and let them control you. It's not about either. It's about unity. It's not about duality and dividing and conquering people. But this is the game they like to play. And this is a prime example right here of what I'm saying. Be careful with that, because this victimization is very tricky, because it makes you feel good, but they're actually deceiving you and brainwashing you and making you feel good about a lie and insulting somebody else in the process.
And then Dr. Decepticon replied, you say that now, but watch as Wikipedia tries to retcon history as we get closer to the release date. And that got followed up by Grum saying, what's the over-under on this happening once Wikipedia editors panic? And just an hour later he said, update, they deleted it, with a laughing emoji. Wikipedia...
Did you guys just see that? History that is Japan's history, right? Controlled by Westerners. Deleted. How long has this history been here? This is what I'm talking about. This is insane.
Wikipedia editors have already altered Yasuke's entry. They did it just moments after I tweeted it, covering up for Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed Shadows. They did this with Warhammer, and they are doing it now to real history. Learning the Law said, let's see how well received the latest stunning and brave Assassin's Creed Shadows is in Japan. I'm sure things are going to be fine. Oh my god! And it's a screenshot translating what they're saying over in Japan. A game where black people...
You see, but with those people that want to represent that and be happy about it, like those woke people, him being a character, but yet it's a lie, it's an insult to Japanese history. You just altered Japanese history. You changed it. And you have a lie just slaughtering all of them in front of them without even asking them. You see what I mean? But no, this is why I like this guy, because he's trying to show you another perspective where it's like, think about that. If you were on the other side, like, it's fucked up.
massacred Japanese people in the Sengoku period is a perfect example of UBI. Is this what happens when political correctness is taken?
Like I said, politics. So that's why I said, who's the problem here, guys? And ladies, if you're watching, Ubisoft. They know what they're doing.
To the extreme. And you'd think that'd be the end of it, but no, it goes on and it gets far worse. Learning the Law, Manga Lawyer on Twitter continues, one man is fighting a holy war against communist revolutionists to prevent Yasuke from becoming progressive propaganda. Hundreds of editors are now attacking Wikipedia to alter history, ensuring that Assassin's Creed Shadows don't receive too many blows. This is better than paying $70 to Ubisoft. He continues, they are altering history for a...
See, this is all about regulation, control, business, and politics. And painting that white lie.
Video game. Games are among the most addictive forms of entertainment on Earth, with one of the highest user growth rates in the market. Mm-hmm. It's a platform where you can easily brainwash teenagers and adults. This isn't about fun. They are cultural weapons. And he said user Theozilla has successfully removed the section from Wikipedia detailing the lack of proof of Yasuke being a samurai. Editors argue that this action represents another form of revisionism in favor of big corporations. Mm-hmm. He continues, no source is needed to identify him as a samurai. And I don't want people to take this the wrong way, that like diversity and inclusion and equity should not be part of a game whatsoever, because politics. I feel like there's a time and a place for it. But when there's a game like Assassin's Creed Shadows that comes out and you see what they did to the main protagonist, you can't help but feel like it was forced in there for an agenda. And as much as some people might want to get mad at me for speaking the truth here, I think the proof is right there for you when you see Wikipedia entries being changed to fit the current narrative of what Ubisoft is trying to push forward with this game. And that is beyond reprehensible. And to me, there's no real other way to look at this. Sure, you can bend yourself over backwards and pretend that everything is totally normal and there's nothing to see here, like Ubisoft wants you to do, but ultimately the truth is there and people are starting to wake up to it. This is a complete embarrassment, in my humble opinion, from Ubisoft. Once again, I could only imagine what's going on in the background to get that ESG score up and get those sweet, sweet payments from BlackRock and Vanguard, because ultimately, looking at this game and what's coming out and how they've decided to change the narrative and the story to fit this very niche situation screams that something is going on in the background. But that's all the information that I have for you right now. If you guys want more information, check out the Smash JT article. It goes into far more greater detail, talking about all the situations going on with Assassin's Creed Shadows right now and why it's so wrong. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Good job, bro. And you know, this is it's still trending on Twitter. It's a big thing. Nobunaga was trending on Twitter. I mean, it's all over the place. And you know, this is what's going to happen. You know, and that's why I wanted to include this video. I kind of commentate on it and react, because I think it's something that people should start paying attention to, so they can get the idea that a lot of this information is controlled. And it's not what you think. History is controlled. Somebody's writing that. If somebody can edit that right now, that tells you a lot about how corrupt this shit is. People already know how corrupt it is, but this is corrupt right in front of your face. And that's why I like somebody like him who caught that along with other people, you know? Because, like I said, Ubisoft had an agenda with this. This is not a mistake. Like, subscribe, guys, if you like this type of content. I'll be doing these type of discussions, here and there. But man, this is embarrassing coming from a company like Ubisoft who should have known better. But look at what they started. Be careful not to be controlled by this. Wake up, guys. Peace.